Before we get into the video, could everyone please subscribe to my Endless Diary Tales channel? Thank you so much. My parents got divorced. My younger sister, Emma, threw a fit and insisted on going with our mother, taking all of the family's assets with her. My dad left with nothing, taking me with him. Later, Emma came to resent Mom for forcing her into an arranged marriage. She hated that cold, emotionless husband. Out of anger, she tried to run away with the delinquent. But before she could succeed, her secret affair was exposed, and the man she was supposed to marry locked her up in a monastery as punishment. Meanwhile, my dad made a stunning comeback and became the richest man in town almost overnight. I suddenly turned into the beloved daughter of a wealthy tycoon, admired by everyone, and later even married a rich heir from New York. When Emma opened her eyes again, she gripped Dad's hand tightly and laughed hysterically. In this new life, she had taken my place as the rich man's daughter. I smiled bitterly. Compared to living under a stepmother's roof and having to scheme and plot for Dad to become rich, I much preferred the mother who truly loved her daughter. When Emma suddenly broke free from Mom's grasp and ran to Dad, I immediately knew she had been reborn too. Dad, I want to stay with you. I don't want to leave you. Even though you have nothing, I'll always remember how kind you are to me. I'll go with you, she said. Everyone except me was shocked. Just seconds ago, Emma had been clinging to Mom's hand, refusing to let go. Only I knew why she had changed her mind so suddenly, because like me, she had already lived through all this once before. Back when our parents divorced, all of the Campbell family's wealth went to Mom. In our previous life, Emma couldn't stand the thought of living without a home or giving up her luxurious life. Before the divorce was finalized, she had cried in Mom's arms all night just to be allowed to stay. But afterward, Mom arranged a marriage for her with Nathan Reed, my cold and emotionless husband, a powerful businessman from New York. His family was highly influential, and although he appeared spiritual and detached, he was still the kind of man every upper-class family wanted their daughter to marry. But Emma refused. She believed Mom was trading her away like a bargaining chip. So on her wedding day, she cheated with that same delinquent she had tried to run away with before. People said she did it for the thrill, deliberately choosing the time when Nathan wasn't home and doing it right outside his meditation room. When Nathan found out, he came back, destroyed the entire house, and locked Emma in a secluded mountain villa, forcing her to spend her days surrounded by monkeys. As for me, after leaving with my penniless father, we lived humbly for 3 years. Then, Dad made a miraculous comeback and became the wealthiest man in the state. Overnight, I became glamorous, dressed in luxury, living among the elite, and later married a rich heir from New York, famous for being hopelessly romantic. But one evening after work, a car sped straight toward the guardrail and crashed into me. My waist and pelvis were shattered almost completely. Before I died, I saw Emma's twisted, hate-filled face behind the windshield. She hated me and hated herself even more for having chosen the wrong path. That's why, after being reborn, she immediately let go of Mom and chose what she believed was the better path this time. What she didn't know was that Dad already had a mistress, a woman he loved deeply. If Mom hadn't held something over him, would he really have walked away with nothing? But when Dad saw Emma's tearful, sincere face, he was too moved to speak. Emma, do you really want to come with me? Don't worry. Even if I have to sell everything I own, I'll take good care of you, Dad said. Emma wiped her tears, pretending to be loyal while still stepping on me. Thank you, Dad. I'm not like my sister. I'm not afraid of hardship. She loves comfort and luxury. Let her stay here, she said. I couldn't be bothered to explain myself. I simply followed along, slipping my arm around Mom's and leaving quietly with her. Mom, I'll stay with you then, I said. If Emma would rather follow Dad and live a hard life on the streets than stay with us, please don't be angry at her. My mother, Laura, furious, threw a bank card at Emma. Your living expenses are all there, not a penny short. Go live your miserable life with that useless man if that's what you want. Before leaving, Emma pulled her suitcase and gave me a smug smile, her eyes full of provocation. In this life, she had taken my place as the rich man's daughter. Seeing the excitement flashing in her gaze, I smiled brightly and said, "We'll see about that." Everyone only saw me as a radiant bride marrying into a wealthy New York family. But no one knew that after the wedding, my husband tortured me in every possible way. To him, I was nothing more than a stand-in for the woman he loved but could never have. That rich heir was obsessed to the point of madness. He made me practice her smile thousands of times in front of the mirror. If I didn't, his punishment was endless humiliation and pain. Fortunately, in this life, my dear sister would take my place instead. Unlike my previous life, this time I stayed with Mom. Everything I wore or ate was the best. She arranged a full schedule of extracurricular lessons: piano, horseback riding, golf, rotating daily. These were all things I had never dared to imagine before. The only downside was that she was cold. So cold it felt like I was just a stranger to her. Even so, she made sure I continued my lessons as if it were nothing more than routine. On my 22nd birthday, the gift Mom gave me wasn't a celebration or a home-cooked meal. It was Nathan Reed's contact information. She told me that marrying the eldest grandson of the Reed family could double our family's fortune. I had long known this day would come, so I simply nodded and memorized the number quietly. Seeing how calm I was, Mom frowned. "I know it's a business marriage," she said. "But Nathan's mother passed away more than 10 years ago. There won't be any complicated family ties. As long as you fulfill your duties, your future will be secure, comfortable, and wealthy for the rest of your life." I looked at her with a different face and nodded seriously. "I understand. Thank you, Mom." She pressed her lips together, still uneasy. "Nathan will come meet you tomorrow. Do well. Don't ruin this opportunity for me." "Understood." Nathan Reed. In my past life, I'd only met him once at their wedding. He was exactly what people called a calm, detached man, someone who carried a quiet aura of authority without even trying. Thinking about it, I decided to take the initiative this time. To avoid awkwardness, I stepped forward and greeted him. "Hello, I'm Olivia Campbell. We're supposed to meet at the square today." There was no reply. When I didn't hear an answer, I exhaled in relief. In my previous life, after following my father, he had taken me straight to his mistress's house. That woman was even more two-faced than any wicked stepmother from a fairy tale. I had to attend school while doing all the housework, even trimming her nails. After graduating from college, I finally found a business opportunity. But at that time I didn't have enough power or connections. So, I could only rely on my father's influence to make things work. In the end, I could only watch helplessly as my creation, my pride and effort, was taken away by my father and his mistress. After marrying the rich heir, I was forced to gain 10 pounds in just 3 days because he wanted me to become the perfect double for the woman he loved. Even my body weight had to match hers. Compared to all that, taking a bit of initiative with Nathan Reed was nothing at all. To help this arranged marriage move forward smoothly, I arrived early the next day. But as soon as I stepped into the place, I saw a tall, familiar figure through the glass window. "Nathan Reed," I called softly as I stepped forward. He turned to look at me, and to my surprise, his eyes carried a warmth I didn't remember. The gentleness in his gaze was far from the cold, distant impression I had of him. For a moment I felt awkward, but before I could overthink it, Nathan opened his arms naturally toward me. I hesitated only a second before boldly linking my arm through his. We had barely taken 2 steps when suddenly someone rushed out from the side, almost crashing into us. The woman's movements were wild. She practically tried to tear my hand away from Nathan's arm. For a first meeting, her behavior was absurdly aggressive. Before I could react, Nathan immediately stepped in front of me, shielding me with his arm as he took half a step back. When I looked closely, I realized who it was. My dear sister Emma. I hadn't seen her for half a year, and she looked noticeably thinner with a few faint lines under her eyes. Pretending to be surprised, I exclaimed, "Emma, why are you out here handing out flyers right after graduation?" Emma looked down at herself, then up at me. I was wearing elegant makeup and a designer dress. Even at a polite distance, I could hear her grinding her teeth. Nathan frowned slightly, his left hand still resting protectively in front of me. I forced a shy smile and said softly, "I'm sorry. This is my younger sister. She lives with our father now, so she has nothing to do with my mother and me anymore." As soon as I finished, Emma flustered, hiding the flyers behind her back. "You're Nathan Reed, right?" she stammered. "I'm her sister. When our parents divorced, each took one of us. My sister didn't want to live with our broke father, so she chose Mom. I felt sorry for her and didn't want her to suffer, so I went with Dad instead. After saying that, she gave a pitiful smile. But sis, seeing you live so well now, I'm really happy for you. I raised an eyebrow. So, she'd learned to flatter people from her stepmother. How impressive. I was just about to retort when Nathan spoke up calmly. She really does live well. Earning your own money by handing out flyers isn't bad either. I couldn't help but smile. That was Nathan, sharp and perceptive, instantly seeing through Emma's manipulative tone. Emma's face froze. The flyers in her hand crumpled under her tightening grip. Leaning lightly against Nathan's chest, I said sweetly, "Nathan, let's go. We shouldn't interrupt my sister's work." As we walked away, Emma tried to maintain her composure, but the moment we turned our backs, I saw her stamping her foot in frustration, waving her arms like a child throwing a tantrum. Perhaps she'd forgotten that the shopping mall across the square had reflective glass. I could see everything. Thanks to her little outburst, Nathan now had his arm fully wrapped around my shoulders instead of just letting me link my arm through his. My face grew hot as I tried to pull away slightly, but Nathan tightened his grip. "The wedding is coming up," he said calmly. "Think of it as getting used to it early." He spoke casually, but I couldn't stop blushing. "I know you're marrying me because of family pressure," I murmured. "We can just respect each other. There's no need for a ceremony if you don't want one." I meant it sincerely from his perspective. But Nathan suddenly stopped walking, furrowed his brows slightly, and looked down at me. "Who told you I'm doing this because of family pressure?" he asked quietly. "If I didn't want to get married, no one could force me." I blinked momentarily, stunned. "But weren't you already a monk?" He smiled faintly. "Just faith and discipline. I'm vegetarian and I meditate, but I never took vows." It hit me. So he was never truly ordained. Then why in my previous life had he never laid a hand on Emma even once? By the time I came back to my senses, we had arrived at the furniture department. Nathan lifted his chin toward the display. "The newlywed bedroom is already decorated. You can choose whatever furniture you like." Then he slipped a black card into my hand. I stared at it, startled. "These are just the necessities after marriage," he said evenly. It was completely different from what I had imagined. As our eyes met, Nathan gave me a faint knowing smile. Nathan absent-mindedly brushed a hand through my hair. "It's our home. Shouldn't we be the ones choosing the furniture?" His warm fingertips glided gently through my hair. I gripped the black card tightly, lowered my head and bit my lip, feeling my heart race uncontrollably. A quiet apology slipped through my mind, not toward him but toward myself. Nathan handed me the key to our new bedroom, and not long after accompanied me to the city hall to register our marriage. On the day we received our marriage certificate, I deliberately posted a photo on social media. And sure enough, within 10 minutes my phone wouldn't stop ringing. It was Emma losing her mind, mocking me over the phone. "I can't believe you're bragging about marrying a monk," she sneered. "What's there to be proud of? A monk? Really? Let's see how long before you have to stay pure for life. How pitiful. Husband and wife in name only. Nathan Reed probably looks at Buddha statues more than he'll ever look at you. Give me 3 years, Olivia, and I guarantee you'll be the one looking up to me then." She was getting impatient. In our previous life, if it hadn't been for me, our good-for-nothing father would never have made a comeback. And without him rising again, she never would have met Chase Parker, that so-called prince at the social gala. Without me, even 30 years wouldn't have gotten her anywhere near success. I couldn't help but laugh. My fingers flew over the screen as I typed my reply. "I heard Dad got remarried," I wrote. "How's your stepmother treating you? After all, we're still sisters. Tomorrow I'm taking Mom out for dinner. Whether she decides to show you kindness or not depends on your own ability." I even sent her the restaurant's address. In our last life, she destroyed me without mercy. In this one, there was no way I'd let her live peacefully. Forget 3 years. Even 3 months of her smug face would be too much for me. With her current social status, she wouldn't even catch a glimpse of Chase Parker. As her elder sister, I supposed it was my duty to give her a little help. That evening, Mom and I sat across from each other at a Western restaurant. Maybe because my arranged marriage had gone smoothly, she actually smiled at me for once. Eat more vegetables, she said lightly. When you and Nathan start living together, make sure you pay attention to his eating habits. She was reminding me that Nathan was vegetarian, devoted to meditation, and I should accommodate his diet. I nodded silently, committing it to memory, but my eyes kept glancing toward the door. When I finally spotted that familiar silhouette, the corner of my lips curved slightly. Would you like to buy a flower, ma'am? A flower for you. The voice came closer, repeating the same line until it reached our table. Then all at once the words stopped. Emma froze mid-sentence, her eyes instantly filling with tears as she stared at Mom. Mom noticed her, as did the nearby waiter. Excuse me, miss, the waiter said politely. Soliciting isn't allowed inside the restaurant. Please leave. Emma's teary eyes widened as she threw the flowers aside and tried to rush toward Mom, but she seemed to forget one thing. The woman standing before her valued her reputation above all else. To Mom, it didn't matter which daughter she kept. Either way, she would raise us carefully, and whatever she invested, she expected to gain back in some other way. She was a cold, calculating woman who saw everything in terms of benefit. There was no way she would acknowledge a daughter in public under such humiliating circumstances. Emma, mind your image, Mom said flatly. Her gaze held even less warmth than when she looked at a stranger. But Emma didn't understand any of that. After suffering for so long with our worthless father, and now seeing our marriage news, her emotions had completely collapsed. She only wanted to throw herself into Mom's arms and cry out her pain. Mom, can you please give me some money? She sobbed. I can't live like this anymore. I didn't go with Dad because I didn't love you. I just didn't want Olivia to suffer. Please, Mom. Just a little money, please. To make her plea sound even more pitiful, she burst into loud, heart-wrenching sobs. Emma's voice trembled unnaturally, and after just a few words, the piano music in the restaurant came to an abrupt stop. Nearly everyone turned to look in our direction. Out of respect for my mother, I had no choice but to help Emma outside and into the car. Mom, Emma whimpered, her voice soft and pleading. You've always loved me the most. I don't need much. Just $5,000 a month would be enough. I promise I'll be good to you later. A sharp smack echoed inside the car, my mother's hand striking Emma's face. I lowered my eyes, hiding the satisfaction in them. Emma was such a fool. After living with my mother for so many years, she still didn't understand her temperament. For the sake of appearances, Mom had once tolerated my father's affair and even his mistress. There was no way she would let Emma humiliate her publicly like this. Emma's right cheek swelled up immediately. Mom, why did you hit me? Even if you and Dad divorced, I'm still your daughter. Why does she get to live in luxury while I have to work for money? Do you only care about money now? Have you stopped caring about your own daughter? Mom looked at her coldly. Your monthly allowance is deposited into your account. Ever since you left with your father, you've had nothing to do with me. Don't come bothering me again. When she finished, she shot me a glance, a signal I understood instantly. I opened the car door. Emma glared up at Mom, her eyes filled with hatred, perhaps recalling the bitterness of our past life. A woman like you doesn't deserve to be anyone's mother, she spat. I came here today out of respect, but from now on, even if you beg me, I won't ever acknowledge you again. Mom calmly adjusted her clothes, then lifted her head slightly to look at her. Get out, or do you want me to discipline you myself like your father should have? Emma burst into tears and ran off, shouting curses as she left. Behind her, I heard my mother's cool voice drift through the air. You should know by now I care about my reputation above everything else. I nodded obediently, immediately understanding her meaning. If I ever brought her shame the way Emma had, she would abandon me without hesitation. But right now, compared to Emma, I was the rich daughter, the one she had invested her time and money into. Emma, on the other hand, had already fallen apart. Mom wasn't stupid. She knew perfectly well which daughter was the better bet. That afternoon, Emma sent me a flood of messages, all filled with venom. You did that on purpose. Remember what you did today. One day, I'll make you lick my shoes and beg for forgiveness. Unfortunately for her, I happened to be with Nathan at that moment. He naturally saw the messages pop up on my phone. His expression turned cold. I'd actually like to see, he said calmly, How she plans to make the daughter-in-law of the Reed family lick her shoes and apologize. Watching him defend me, I smiled softly and leaned into his chest. Would you like to see her apologize first? I asked playfully. Nathan raised an eyebrow. Oh, I blinked mischievously. Then I asked him to drive with me back to that same restaurant to retrieve the surveillance footage. Later, I anonymously sent the video to my worthless father. That evening, guided by memory, I found the place again. Although Richard Campbell had walked away from his marriage with nothing, during his years with his mistress, he'd managed to buy her plenty, including a small villa like this one. Nathan's car was parked a short distance away. After about 10 minutes, the sound of shattering dishes burst from inside, followed by furious shouting. You ungrateful brat. I worked myself to the bone for you, and you dare go see that woman? Why, you want to go back to her? Is that it? I'm the one paying for everything, and you still have the nerve to cry in front of me. I swear I'll beat you to death today. Come on, Richard. Put your back into it. Haven't you eaten yet? A woman's voice yelled inside the villa. Your daughter is nothing but trouble. You still don't believe me? Look, she's even daring to glare at me. Richard, the woman shouted again. Give me your belt. I'll teach her a lesson for you. The shouts of both man and woman mixed together, echoing for nearly 20 minutes without stopping. At first, Emma tried to talk back, but soon her defiance broke down into crying and begging. I was wrong. Please stop. Please, it hurts. Don't send me away. I can be useful. Please believe me. Listening to her sobs made a wave of satisfaction rise in my chest. But when I finally came to my senses, I realized I was clutching Nathan's hand tightly, my eyes gleaming as I strained to hear what was happening inside. Nathan's gaze on me burned hot. His ears turned red, and even his palms began to feel warm against mine. Embarrassed, I quickly pulled my hand away and murmured an excuse. You're a vegetarian who meditates, I said softly. I was just worried all that swearing would pollute your ears. Nathan's Adam's apple moved slightly, his voice low and calm. Now that we're married, I'll always stand on your side. That night, Emma was beaten so severely her screams echoed through the whole place. But to me, even that didn't feel like enough. When her injuries finally healed, I sent her a wedding invitation. At first she sneered, tossing it straight into the trash. You did that on purpose, didn't you? I'm not going to your stupid wedding. I hope you and that monk stay chained together forever. May you both live miserable lives. I tucked a strand of hair behind my ear, deliberately revealing a faint red mark on my neck. As expected, Emma froze when she saw it. You and him? She stammered. I smiled lightly. It's fine if you don't want to come. I only invited you out of courtesy. After all, our wedding will be attended by the top families. You might feel out of place. Emma snapped out of her daze. Then will Chase Parker be there? I smiled without answering directly, just pointing toward the trash bin. You'll need an invitation to get in. After I left, Emma pinched her nose in disgust, digging through the trash until she found the crumpled invitation. Then she laughed like a lunatic, dancing right there on the street. She must have thought her chance with the prince was finally coming. But she didn't know. Breaking hearts was Chase Parker's specialty. On our wedding day, Nathan and I stood together in front of a hall filled with guests and made our vows. For the rest of our lives, we said, we'll be together. Nathan looked at me, his usually calm eyes glimmering with an unfamiliar light, soft, almost emotional. After the ceremony, he held my hand as we moved among the guests. With him beside me, no one dared to force me to drink. Then, as I turned to greet another table, I saw her, Emma, sitting next to Chase Parker. His gaze was practically glued to her. Both Emma and I had inherited Mom's eyes and bone structure. There was a certain resemblance between us and Chase's so-called white moonlight, the woman he could never forget. Now that I was married, his attention naturally shifted to Emma. On the surface, she pretended to stay calm, but the faint blush on her cheeks betrayed her excitement. After everything I'd suffered because of that man, seeing him again still made my stomach twist with disgust. Even though Nathan held my hand tightly, my fingertips trembled uncontrollably. In powerful families, there were countless ways to torture someone. Forcing a bride to gain 10 pounds in 3 days was only one of the mild ones. Chase Parker's favorite thing in the world was a woman who looked exactly like his unattainable love. He wouldn't touch her face, but from the neck down, he always found new ways to torment. The first time I saw that shameful wall covered in cruel instruments of punishment, I couldn't stop trembling. I wanted to run, but it was already too late. My worthless father and his mistress had sold me to Chase Parker. In my past life, I tried once to run back home, but my father chained me up and personally delivered me back to Chase. That night, Chase turned off every surveillance camera. On the way back, he dragged me by a leash, forcing me to crawl on my knees all the way home. Nathan gently squeezed my fingers, pulling me back to the present. Somehow those cold, quiet eyes of his had become one of the few places in this world where I felt safe. What happened in the past belonged to the past. Emma had poured all her effort into getting close to the prince. Naturally, I had to help my dear sister fulfill that wish. If she was so eager to fall into hell, how could I not give her a little push? We met again at my mother's birthday party. Chase walked in hand with Emma while my father swaggered in with his mistress. The four of them appeared together like a perfect picture of hypocrisy. Emma clearly came to flaunt her success. She raised her hand carelessly, and the jewelry dangling from her wrist jingled loudly, each piece expensive enough to catch every eye in the room. "Happy birthday, Mom." "Oh, I mean Mrs. Campbell," she said sweetly. "I actually wanted to bring you a gift, but then I remembered what you told me last time, and I figured why bother? After all, the bond between us as mother and daughter doesn't exist anymore, does it?" My father gave a derisive laugh, his arm wrapped around the mistress's shoulders. The woman smirked arrogantly. "Laura, it's your birthday. Why the long face?" she said in a sugary voice. "Here, I got you a skincare set. You should really start taking care of your face. You know how quickly women age once they hit a certain point. And when that happens, men naturally lose interest." It was the first time I'd ever seen my mother actually bite her tongue. Because of Chase Parker's influence, she couldn't afford to offend them. But I wasn't afraid. An opportunity to prove my loyalty to my mother had presented itself right to my face. How could I waste it? I slapped the mistress across the face. The sound echoed through the entire hall, drawing everyone's attention immediately. My father's face turned red with rage. "That's your stepmother. How dare you hit her?" Emma stepped forward too, pretending to look outraged. "Yeah, Olivia, we came here to be nice. Why hit someone? Just because your mom has money, you think you can ignore your own father?" Even Chase frowned slightly. He looked me up and down, and that look, that same cold assessing look, made a ghost of old fear stir inside me. Still, I straightened my back and met his eyes. "Mr. Parker," I said calmly, "we might have failed to greet you properly, and that's our mistake. But today is my mother's birthday, and I can't allow a mistress to show up here and cause a scene." Chase's lips curved faintly. He looked from my mother to the mistress, his tone teasing. "Aren't they both mothers? Why bother distinguishing which one's legitimate? Come on, let's hear you call her Mom. I'm curious to see how it sounds." Emma raised an eyebrow at me, her expression smug. "Go on," she urged. "If you listen to Mr. Parker, maybe your family's business will double. Isn't that better than just marrying for an alliance?" I met her gaze coldly, the corner of my mouth lifting in a faint icy smile. I was about to reply when a hand suddenly rested on my waist. I turned slightly. Nathan was standing right behind me. I didn't even notice when he arrived. His lips curved in that calm, unreadable smile as he looked at Chase. "It's been half a year, Parker. Since when did you develop such an interest in collecting mothers?" he said lightly. "Sorry, but my wife prefers cleanliness. She doesn't like being around filth. So if you're looking for a mother figure, please keep this one for yourself." Chase Parker, the so-called prince of high society, might have been powerful, but the Reed family was no less. With Nathan speaking up, all Chase could do was let out a forced chuckle. "Relax," he said, laughing stiffly. "It was just a joke. No need to get so tense." Nathan's hand tightened around my waist as he tilted his chin toward Emma. "This is my wife," he said evenly. "It's only natural for me to protect her. But tell me," his voice turned faintly mocking, "is that woman yours?" The moment those words left his lips, Emma's smug smile froze on her face. After all, there's always a clear line between a girlfriend and a woman who's legally married. When I turned to look at Nathan, warmth spread quietly through my chest. So, this was what it felt like to be protected by someone else. After the party ended, we drove home in silence. I couldn't stop thinking about Emma, how much I despised her. But in truth, the person who had hurt me most in my previous life was still Chase Parker. I had no intention of forgiving either of them. What are you thinking about? Nathan's gentle voice broke my thoughts. If someone ever upsets you, he said, smiling faintly, just fight back. Otherwise, what's the point of marrying me if you can't even claim that right? He clearly meant it as a joke, trying to lighten the mood, but I looked at him seriously. And what if I want to do more than just fight back? Nathan turned his head toward me, his dark eyes deep and unreadable. For a moment something flickered there, something I couldn't quite define. After a long silence, he raised his fist slightly between us. I smiled and gently bumped my fist against his. Do whatever you want, he said quietly. I thought back to my past life and said each word carefully. I want to destroy Chase Parker and the entire Parker family. Strangely enough, Nathan only furrowed his brows slightly before nodding in agreement. He didn't ask why, nor did he question my hatred. His acceptance surprised me, but it wasn't yet the time to ask. The next day, Nathan began helping me investigate the Parker family. In my previous life, I had been Mrs. Parker in name only. My existence was worse than that of a servant, but I had learned a lot about the Parker family's secrets. I presented my findings to Nathan, and after only a few words, his brows furrowed tightly. With his help, and under my careful guidance, Emma and Chase Parker finally got married. Emma deliberately sent me a photo of their marriage certificate, flaunting it. See, I bet on the right man, she bragged. Didn't I tell you? One day I'd make you kneel and lick my shoes to apologize. My good days are just starting. Yours are only beginning to fall apart. I smiled faintly. Clearly, she still had no idea about Chase's precious white moonlight. Good luck, I replied, my voice laced with irony. Knowing Chase's volatile temper, I was certain he wouldn't wait long to show his true nature. Half a month later, we happened to meet again at an auction. And just as I expected, Emma looked exactly like I had in my previous life. Haunted, brittle, and trying to hide it. The moment she saw me, her teeth clenched and her whole body tensed, as if she wanted to lunge at me. Her expression was identical to the one she had the night she drove into me in my past life. But with just one cold look from Chase, she froze in place. I smiled at her. The room was warm, yet she was wearing a long-sleeve dress and a silk scarf around her neck. Your scarf's crooked, I said sweetly, stepping closer. Let me fix it for you. Before I could reach out, she flinched and stepped back. The delicate silk scarf slipped from her neck and fell to the floor. When it did, the bruises around her neck were exposed for everyone to see. I deliberately gasped loud enough for the entire hall to hear. Oh my God, Emma, what happened to your neck? The people nearby immediately turned toward us. Emma panicked, fumbling to grab the scarf and cover her throat again, her face pale. Chase's glare shot toward me, cold and sharp. I need to use the restroom, Emma stammered, rushing away, with Chase following close behind. Everyone at that auction was someone of status. People who had seen all sorts of scandals. A single glance was enough for them to understand exactly what was going on. Within 10 minutes, the rumor of Chase Parker's domestic abuse had spread like wildfire through the venue. When the two of them returned, Emma's eyes were red and swollen, and Chase's tie was crooked and half undone. Are you okay? Do you need my help? I asked softly. Emma glared at me, her hands trembling uncontrollably at her sides. When no one was looking, she clenched her teeth and hissed. Why? You knew about him, didn't you? You knew what he was like. So why did you watch me jump straight into that fire? Are we sisters? Did you want me to end up miserable? Her words tore the last shred of pretense between us. I didn't need to keep pretending anymore. The smile on my face disappeared. My voice turned cold. Compared to the way you rammed your car into me last time, I said evenly. I've already been merciful. Emma's body jolted. Her eyes widened in disbelief. And a moment later, she let out a piercing scream. Oh my God, a ghost. There's a ghost. She stumbled backwards, stepping on Chase's foot. I watched as he twisted her arm sharply, his tone half mocking, half threatening. What's wrong with you now, huh? Lost your mind again, sweetheart? Emma froze instantly, too terrified to move. I stepped closer, smiling faintly as I looked at both of them. Emma, Chase, I said softly. Later tonight I have a special gift for you too. Especially for you, brother-in-law. I promise you'll love it. When the auction began, Chase kept bidding against Nathan in secret. I stood by Nathan's side, watching as my husband casually raised the price several times, each time 3 or 4 times higher before letting Chase win. After a few rounds, the fool finally stopped, his face dark with anger. He even turned around and flipped us off in front of everyone. Nathan and I exchanged a look and couldn't help laughing quietly. Finally, the last item of the night was brought to the stage. A sealed folder. This, the host announced, is a piece of breaking news obtained just today. It concerns someone here tonight, perhaps even an entire family present. The opening bid, $1. The entire hall erupted in murmurs. Chase, sitting near the front, seemed to sense something and turned sharply to glare at me. 100 million, he called out. At first, no one wanted to join such a strange auction, but a few $100 million meant little to the truly wealthy, and curiosity quickly spread through the crowd. More and more people started bidding. The number climbed higher and higher until it reached 150 million. Chase wanted to keep going, but he couldn't. He'd already wasted a fortune on useless items earlier, paying several times their real value. 150 million. Going once, going twice, sold. The host handed the folder to the winning bidder with a teasing grin. Mind giving us a little preview? What's the rumor about? The crowd joined in, chanting playfully until the bidder reluctantly opened the folder. I was standing far away, but I could still see Chase's pupils tremble when he caught sight of the contents. Breaking scandal, Chase Parker's secret mistress contest. The entire hall erupted in gasps and whispers. Nathan and I looked at each other and smiled knowingly. Chase's face turned red, then white, then red again. Furious and humiliated, he started shouting and tried to storm out. But before he could reach the doors, police officers appeared simultaneously at all 3 exits. Mr. Parker, one of them said firmly, we've received a report that you're suspected of illegal confinement and involvement in organized indecency. Please come with us. Chase sneered. On what grounds? Do you even have evidence? Do you know who I am? I'm a Parker. You wouldn't dare touch me. A sharp click echoed through the hall, the sound of handcuffs closing. The officer's voice remained calm and cold. We found 6 women detained in a villa registered under your name. Each of them had varying degrees of injury. Chase was taken away immediately. Emma stood frozen, completely dazed. After the event ended, I walked up to her. She sat there blankly, sometimes smiling to herself, sometimes covering her face to cry. Emma, I began, but before I could finish, she suddenly stood up and lunged straight at me. I could have dodged her easily, but I didn't move. Nathan was waiting just outside. Nathan wouldn't let anything happen to me. And indeed, when I opened my eyes again, I was lying in a hospital bed. Emma was at the police station. The first thing I saw when I woke was Nathan's face, a mix of worry and anger. After checking me over to make sure I was unhurt, he clenched his jaw and snapped. I watched the surveillance footage. Why didn't you dodge? If I hadn't gotten there in time, that lunatic would have strangled you to death. Do you have any idea what could have happened? His voice trembled slightly with fury. I know you wanted her locked up, but you could have let me handle it. Why risk yourself like that? What if something really happened to you? What if you... Before he could finish, I reached up, cupped his neck, and pressed my lips against his. Whatever words he hadn't said disappeared between us. It was a long time before I finally pulled away. He frowned, still trying to sound stern. Don't think that's enough for me to forgive you. I kissed him again, softer this time, and whispered against his lips. Nathan, do you like me? That was the one thing I could never quite understand. We had only met in this lifetime. Why did he care so deeply? Nathan looked at me for a long while before pulling me into his arms. I didn't fully understand, but the way he held me was so tight I could barely breathe. Hey, I gasped. Say something already. I tried to push him away, but he wouldn't let go. His voice was low and a little hoarse. When we were kids during that fire, you saved me. Do you remember? I froze, the realization hitting me. You were that little boy? He gave a soft, almost melancholic hum. Do you believe in past lives, Olivia? In the last one, we were both broken kids. I thought I was marrying you, but it turned out to be Emma, and the one you married was Chase Parker." His arms tightened around me even more, his voice trembling slightly with emotion. In that moment I knew Nathan, like me, had been reborn. All the pain I'd endured in my past life, he remembered. Somehow he had carried it with him too. I nestled deeper into his arms, wrapping my arms around his back. "Thank God," I whispered. "This time we've fixed everything." After I was discharged, I went to visit Chase Parker at the detention center, and I brought someone with me. I'd heard he still refused to confess. The moment he saw me, his expression twisted with rage. "Of course it's you," he spat. "You bring bad luck wherever you go. Don't think that just because you married that Reed bastard I can't touch you. Let me tell you something. There's nothing in this world money can't solve. Once I get out of here, I'll kill you." I said nothing, but the person standing behind me let out a cold, disappointed laugh. Chase frowned, confused, and then froze completely when he saw who it was. "Nah, Nina, what are you doing here?" he stammered. "Don't look at me like that. This is all just a misunderstanding. When I get out, we can talk, okay?" Nina Hart, Chase's white moonlight. We'd contacted her a week ago. If Chase was such a lovesick man, then it was only fitting to give him a dose of his own poison. Na looked at him with heartbreak and disgust. "When I first heard what people said about you, I didn't believe it," she said quietly. "But now I do. You really did hold those women captive, didn't you? Just because they looked a little like me. You couldn't have me, so you wanted to hurt them instead." Her voice shook with anger. "Chase, I never truly knew you. You're terrifying. You make my skin crawl. Do yourself a favor and confess and stop calling me your moonlight. Every time you say that, it makes me sick." With just a few sentences from Na, Chase collapsed, completely lifeless, falling back onto the floor. Watching him in that state, hollow and defeated, I still wanted to rip him apart, to make him suffer the way he'd made me suffer. Chase finally confessed. And with his confession came an avalanche of revelations. One by one, the dark secrets of the Parker family were exposed. The empire that once stood at the top of the pyramid. Within a single night, the Parker empire crumbled. Afterward, I went to visit Emma. She stared at me for a long time before finally speaking, her voice trembling. "Can you give me another chance? Kill me this time. Please, Olivia, just kill me. If I could choose again, I'd choose Mom. I finally understand what I should have done to win." I couldn't help but laugh. "You," I said coldly. "Even if life handed you the perfect script, you'd still never make it to the stage covered in roses. Why would I want to restart anything with you?" I tilted my head slightly, smiling faintly. "Don't you know yet? Because of your little outburst at Mom's birthday party, she was moved by my loyalty. She's already given me full control of the company." I took a step closer to the cell bars. "I have a man. I have a career. Why would I ever need to start over?" Emma's expression twisted. She screamed, shaking the iron bars like a mad woman, her voice breaking into incoherent sobs. Finally, the guards intervened. She struggled wildly before collapsing under the shock of their electric baton. When I stepped outside, Nathan was waiting for me, calm, patient, his hands tucked casually into his coat pockets. All the garbage had finally been cleared away. For the first time, I felt the weight I'd carried for so long slip off my shoulders. Lightly, almost floating, I walked toward Nathan. "Let's go home," he said quietly. "Yeah," I whispered, smiling. "Let's go home. Some people rot from the inside out."